the weather forecast with Coloca in its multipurpose banquet hall, Il Palazzo.
Hi, lovelies, and thank you very much for taking our time to be part of the weather forecast, and hope you are having a lovely evening. We would between tonight and tomorrow morning have a calm weather dominate the nation, with temperatures going down to as low as 22 degrees in the far north region, with the northeast, center, and the northwest regions experiencing as low as 23 degrees. We would also have the southwest and littoral regions a range between 25 to 28 degrees. Now we take you to the west region, where this evening has no possibility of precipitation, and same experience by morning, with Baham expecting the least temperature at 17 degrees. And on to the south region, this evening we have no possibility of rainfall, and by morning it will be exactly the same situation, with Sang Malima expecting the least temperature at 23 degrees. And lastly, we take you to the Adamawa region, where tonight we have no possibility of rainfall, and by morning it will be exactly the same thing, with Menganga expecting the least temperature. I encourage you to make our time and go behold the traditional herds of Adamawa. Thank you for watching, and do have a good night.
NGARBUH victims have received humanitarian assistance from the presidential couple and are told a commission of inquiry set by President Paul Biya has 8 days to submit its findings on the killings. The town of Douala is undergoing transformation with the execution of many social projects, but inhabitants have social costs they have to pay. Analysts underscore the need for competitive local players to be selected to defend the country's colors, as Intermediate Lions coach complains of his squad's inability to score goals as expected. Details now. Thanks for watching the 7:30 news on CRTV. I am Moki Edwin Kinzeka in Yaoundé. President Paul Biya has dispatched a commission of inquiry and given it 8 days to render its findings on the NGARBUH incident of February 14, 2020. The governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lele Afrique-Deben Chofo, made the information public while handing over a consignment of goods from the presidential couple to some 200 displaced people from NGARBUH. Eric Langma Wufo reports from Tumbo, where NGARBUH is found.
They fled away from the recent incident in NGARBUH and are all assembled at the Tumbo Funds Palace. There are 200 of them and have received a gift from the President of the Republic.
Our President, that he should try, we are really appreciating what he has done, because he has fed the people.
Receive mantras, rice with oil, blanket with what they did. I thank them for what they did, because we have suffered a lot. What I'm trying to say is that they should help us so that these children should come out from the bush.
The items have been handed over to the people by the governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lele Afrique. He's announced the creation of a commission of inquiry by the President of the Republic.
But he has also instructed us to create an assessment committee chaired by the SDO to assess the human, material, and psychological damages that occurred in NGARBUH. The inquiry commission has already started its work in Bamenda and is coming soon to the theater, to the scene, to investigate and start the hearings of the victims and those that can give a testimony of what really happened here.
The fund of Tumbo for Ibrahim used the occasion to call on separatist fighters to seek peace.
Other boys and waiting there for bush, made them try come back for excuse. We go take them.
In the meantime, a special operation to provide medical attention to 200 displaced persons from NGARBUH. NGARBUH, a neighborhood in Tumbo, is found in those subdivisions.
In his capacity as of personal representative of Mrs. Chantal Biya, spouse of the head of state, founding president of the Circle of Friends of Cameroon, SERAC, Mrs. Grace John Gute, general coordinator of SERAC, will chair the ceremony for the inauguration of the Francophone and bilingual government nursery and primary schools of the Efulan, built and equipped by SERAC, and the handing over of gifts to rural women of Efulan Subdivision, Villa Division, South Region on February 28, 2020 at 11 o'clock prompt. The program is as follows: 7:30 arrival of the population and dance groups, 9:30 arrival of guests, 10:15 arrival of administrative authorities, 10 a.m. Arrival of the CERAC delegation, 10:50 arrival of the personal representative of Mrs. Chantal Bia, spouse of the head of state and founding president of CERAC, and 11 a.m. beginning of the start of the ceremony. The President of the Constitutional Council hereby informs the public that the solemn session of the proclamation of the results of the election of members of the National Assembly of 9 February 2020 will hold on Friday, 28 February 2020 at 11 o'clock prompt in the inaugural hall of the Conference Center in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Experts in the law on bilingualism and multiculturalism are drilling the National Commission on Bilingualism and Multiculturalism on the presidential text that gives the two official languages an equal value. The commission members are being schooled in Yaoundé ahead of an imminent nationwide campaign to sensitize and encourage Cameroonians on the use of the two official languages. The two-day ownership seminar is chaired by the commission's president, Peter Mafani Mushange. Kilian Dandifon has the details.
These are members of the National Commission for the Promotion of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism, expressing themselves in the two official languages, English and French, without any complex or barriers, as they wait for the President to open a two-day ownership seminar with a clear objective.
The head of state enacted into law the law on the promotion of official languages. He also gave us an instruction to explain the law to target groups and to the population. We thought that it was necessary for us to meet, understand the law, which is the first product of the major national dialogue. Understand it so that we'll be able to explain it to target groups and to the population.
The Commission will have to explain to the citizens in the near future that the official languages of Cameroon shall be English and French. The official languages of Cameroon shall have equal value. The law shall apply to all national, public institutions and regional and local authorities, and that the purpose of this law shall be to ensure the equal use of English and French in public services and bodies, and to encourage Cameroonians to express themselves in English and French. The Commission members are being drilled by legal experts in the domain how to do this in the two-day ownership seminar that ends Friday, February 28, ahead of a nationwide sensitization campaign.
Preparations are gathering steam in Cameroon for International Women's Day to be celebrated on March 8. As the day approaches, the demand for its fabric has increased, with some buyers already complaining of scarcity in markets and shops. Joyce Tata reports that some family members and friends are already sharing the little fabric they have for a successful feast.
Closed doors is what Yaoundé city dwellers meet in their quest for the 2020 Women's Day fabric. A situation which saddens the hearts of many, leaving others disgruntled who just can't wait to express their indignation.
I came here to buy since 5 a.m. the Women's Day fabric for my wife. I have been told it is not available. Please allow me go home. I'm fed up.
Some sources say retailers who buy from the textile company make things tougher for buyers by increasing the prices.
Some people buy in front of us and sell to others higher than the normal 6,800 francs it is supposed to be sold, all in the name of retailing.
A shortage which equally plays negatively on the sale of Madame Sangu, who is unable to meet the demand of her customers.
I was unable to buy the Women's Day fabric and retail. I went to the textile company in January and was told it will be produced in a small quantity. I have customers who keep on asking to purchase it.
Even though the availability of the Women's Day fabric in the nation's capital is still a big problem, some women already have alternatives, like sewing the fabric of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Since the fabric is limited, if I succeed to have 6 yards, I will share with my sister.
I don't have passion. If I don't have fabric of this year, I will wear the one of the last year.
You have heard from the horse's own mouth. Come what may, every woman in Yaoundé plans to celebrate 8 March in pomp and fanfare.
As the women prepare to celebrate their day, we tonight focus on the problems women in the South region encounter on a daily basis. They complain of bad farm-to-market roads, insufficient funding schemes for the micro-projects, and the heavy weight of traditional practices. Sirin Wazike reports that in spite of the so many problems, rural women in the ocean hope for better days.
Only the typical rural woman in the Ocean Division knows the realities on the ground. Whether from Bipindi, Lolodov, Bikondo, Bilolo, Bisiang and others, the women toil to see their produce get to the market for those dealing in agriculture.
Even to have a place to work, there are forests in Kribi, but difficulties because people do not allow people to have access to work farms in Kribi. A road problem, we have difficulties of transportation, and then because the roads are not good, and in Kribi we don't have cars or taxis that can easily transport our crops, so we are obliged to take the bike.
To bring the crops in the village is a very big problem to us.
The rural woman who deals in fishing also has her own part of the story to tell. As the women prepare to celebrate the 35th International Women's Day, they expect brighter days and major changes.
Financial problems are disturbing us because you can really want to do a lot in your business. There is just no means of finance. So if the minister can support us for the finance, we can be very happy.
The presence of the Minister of Women's Empowerment and the Family in the Ocean Division is a stitch in time and a golden opportunity for them to table their rosary of worries with the hope that the usual promises made will be solved this time around. While waiting, the rural woman in the Ocean Division continues to tilt the soil and feed the division.
Most streets in major neighborhoods in Douala have been plunged into darkness. City dwellers say it is a major contributing factor to rising insecurity, especially at night. Gladys Atemban Chechuma Banda paints a picture of the disturbing situation which inhabitants have decried.
This is the image that catches the eye of any visitor who arrives the country through the Douala International Airport. A distance of more than 2 kilometers spanning from Village, Marché des Fleurs, and the flyover linking Bonanjo and Aqua in complete darkness. A gloomy situation that has aggravated over time, with concerned authorities giving lesser or no attention at all. Because these areas have been submerged in darkness for so long, they are now safe havens for criminals, and the result is increased insecurity, aggression and even traffic accidents caused by poor visibility at night. The administrative neighborhood of Bonanjo is also caught in the darkness fever. It is the same scenario on the second bridge over the Vuri, opened to circulation about 2 years ago with the intention to light up circulation. But darkness has taken over control of movement of persons, goods and vehicles.
A driver can end up in the Vuri River by night due to poor visibility. We cannot count the number of motorbike riders who have already lost their lives here.
These are places that upon construction were crowd pulling centers, given that they were so lighted. Now, the only source of light is from cars and bikes. A situation that has once more brought to the fore the problem of mismanagement of public goods. City dwellers have thus described the present state of affairs as disgraceful, especially for a town considered not only to be the largest in Cameroon, but its economic and commercial capital. Illuminating streets of Douala therefore remains one of the challenges awaiting the recently elected council officials.
Douala will host matches for the 2020 African Nations Championship and 2021 Africa Football Cup of Nations, and road infrastructure is an absolute necessity. That is why there have been sustained government efforts to rehabilitate the city's roads and create new ones. As much as the infrastructural challenges are there, there is a social cost to pay. Dixon Ashu reports.
A gradual infrastructural transition that progressively makes way for easy circulation and urban mobility. Here in the Douala 5 municipality, urban roads are shifting in state, shape and sizes, adopting better formats, far from when many had to plan their movement hours before schedule due to traffic congestion, compounded by the poor state of roads then. Now we can easily get to Ndukoti and Bonamusadi without any stress. A change of affairs that long used to characterize Douala's most popular roundabout. Since its rehabilitation and the construction of this second bridge over the Vuri, life seems much better, especially for those who transit the Douala 4 and Douala 1 municipalities. Since the coming of the new bridge, the crossing is now to and fro within a short period of time. Traffic is no longer an issue. The only worry now is the road portion next to the filling station that permits stagnant poles. This is the east entrance into the economic capital, a road corridor that links Douala to N'Djamena and Bangui, and which had one time been much talk about, especially last year when traffic congestion became unbearable due to rehabilitation works by Chinese engineering company. With a new contractor in charge, the metamorphosis is real and seems pleasant for most of those who use this stretch. Besides ensuring urban mobility and easy traffic circulation, the engagement to rehabilitate these major road infrastructures set the stage for the town's stakes in hosting events of international standings.
Some 200 roadside vendors in Yaoundé are still reticent to relocate to the Mokolo main market as ordered by administrative officials in the Mfundi division. The vendors complain that the Mokolo market is over-congested and it will be impossible for them to do profitable business. Mamoun Njoya has been following up from CRTV Center.
Fighting urban disorder in the capital city, Yaoundé, remains tough despite repressive and stringent measures that are continually being taken by authorities. The SDO's release calling on roadside vendors to occupy the spaces reserved for their commercial activities at the Mokolo main market is not still respected. To many, leaving the roadside will imply missing out on many customers and incurring great losses.
Here in Mokolo, the customers are rare. Meanwhile, when we walk by the roadside, we can find some of the customers that will end up helping us too. I am begging for the authorities to see what they can do and take it into consideration that it is not easy for us selling by the roadside.
In the meantime, 200 roadside vendors at the Central Post roundabout have been identified and attributed spaces under the auspices of the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. Yet, these spaces have not been occupied slightly over 2 months since the SDO summoned the concerned roadside vendors. As underlined by Yauba Abdullahi, the coordinator of these vendors at the Mokolo main market, the reserved spaces are still available and open to its legitimate owners. One thing remains for sure: all the necessary measures have been taken for the roadside vendors to relocate and go about their activities in total serenity. But as it appears, other strategies must absolutely be enforced.
Thousands of businesses have been set up in the far north region thanks to the high-intensive labor use approach of the National Community-Driven Development Program, the PNDP. The approach, which has been experimented for 3 years, uses local labor force in community projects so wages can be invested in business at the localities. Beatrice Losamba reports on this live transforming initiative of the PNDP.
A sustained irrigation technique permits Isaga improve his harvest. The technique was taught to us, he says, thanks to the high-intensive labor approach of the National Community-Driven Development Program. Thanks to this program, he adds, I have extended my farming territory. He is part of a group of 100 young people who earned a fortune after being hired to construct a community warehouse for Jagalai, some 10 kilometers from Marwa. This harvest season, storage worries would be far for this farming community, and the future looks flowery as the growers grow their activities.
This high-intensive use of labor was an initiative brought up by the government to reduce the rate of poverty.
The way to Mavak in Bogo Council, some 80 kilometers from Marwa, is paved with projects carried out thanks to the PNDP and its financial partners, the EU, through the French Development Agency. In this cattle herder community, water is a scarce resource, and animals died of thirst in the past due to its shortage. A livestock pond, which sustains the need all year round, has changed that story. The thirst for sustainable jobs too has been quenched for the young laborers, 200 of them, who earned some money from building the pool of water, livestock pond, and portable water facilities for the community. The young laborers saved money from this venture and have acquired motor cabs, which is quite a money fetcher in this area, limited in road infrastructure. Scores of councils in the Far North region have rewritten their story for the better thanks to the life-transforming experience of the high-intensive labor approach of the National Community-Driven Development Program.
Some 15 medical students from Cameroon and abroad, all specialized in endoscopic surgery, are currently receiving intensive practical training on the invasive surgery at the Crasher in the nation's capital. The workshop has been jointly organized with the University of Yaoundé 1 and the Ministry of Higher Education. NGARBUH reports.
A practical session with students specializing in endoscopic surgery has been taking place in one of the operation blocks of Crasher, conducted by Dr. A. Shevin from the United States of America, in the presence of other renowned specialists like Professor Bruno van Harendel from Belgium and Professor Jean-Marie Cassia of Cameroon.
Minimal invasive surgery has less amount of infections, adhesions, duration of the interventions which is much more short.
They are going to do a session in the lab on the pelvic trainer to know how they have to orientate inside the abdominal cavity.
Throughout the opening practical sessions, the participants saluted the technical platform of Crasher and the qualified human resources.
Working together with the local university, like here Yaoundé 1, we designed a curriculum for 2 years where we bring in not only the people that are at the last years of their training, but also people that already were on the field and did some laparoscopy.
From the theoretical sessions held at the Maurice Antoine Bruhat Amphitheater of Crasher to the practical sessions at the operation blocks, there is a perfect coordination.
It is very important to have knowledge, but it's more important to have skills.
This first session that ends on the 6th of March will pave the way for the second International Congress, thereby recognizing Crasher as having one of the best platforms for training in endoscopic surgery.
7 mayors in the Upper Nyong East region of the country have been newly elected, while 7 others have renewed their mandates. The senior divisional officer of the Upper Nyong, Joseph Bertrand Marche, witnessed the voting process in Dumentang, Angosas, and Abongbang to crown the municipal elections in the divisions. We have details with Mokam Robert Ashu.
The mayors-elect for the last lap of the election supervision tour of the senior divisional officer for Upper Nyong include Kume Honoré for Dumentang, Selang Alliance Floor for Angosas, and Oyal Shamang for Abombang, concluding the tour of all the 14 municipalities in the Upper Nyong.
We recorded 7 new mayors and 7 who renewed their mandate. Also, we recorded the lower women representative. We stand from 3 mayors in the previous mandate to 2 female mayors in this present mandate.
Unlike what used to be in the past, the senior divisional officer sounds a warning note of no tolerance to absentee municipal executives.
We will be very vigilant vigilant amongst those mayors who are mayors that I consider the mayors from Friday to Monday, or these municipal councillors who just came from the council session few hours and then disappear. We would take our own role seriously to sensitize population to follow closely their municipal councillor and to follow closely their mayors, bringing their demands where demand has to be present.
All the 14 municipalities in the Upper Nyong are governed by CPDM councillors. The hitch-free election of the mayors and the deputies in all the 14 councils leaves the population jubilating, as according to many, the right people have been voted in the right places.
Ashu Priestley Ojong is the new mayor of Mamfe. He was elected during a special council session in the presence of the senior divisional officer for Manyu, De Joseph. The new mayor has promised to rehabilitate roads and provide potable water to his people. Bridget Ndep Assam B1 reports.
Manyu Division is among areas in the southwest region hit by the current socio-political crisis, with the Mamfe Central Municipality not an exception, which to an extent has slowed down some activities that need immediate action.
There are so many problems, roads problems, we have hygiene and sanitation in the town. The council started that some time ago, but because of the crisis, it was suspended. But so far, we are going to make sure we kickstart.
Taking over at a time when the inhabitants of Mamfe Municipality are in dire need of access of roads from one locality to another, electricity and potable water remain basic needs of the populations.
Peculiar with Mamfe, we have street light problem, we have connectivity problem, that's road network. The last tower we had in Mamfe was in 2000, 2002. So for the past close to 18 years, we've lost more than 50% of those tower streets. So those are one of the main things we are going to start fighting to stop that degradation.
The 35-year-old mayor of Mamfe Council, Ashu Priestley Ojong, who hails from Eshobi village in Mamfe Central Subdivision, is a businessman, married, and a father of 4, was elected during a session chaired by the eldest councillor, Taku Andrew Orok, in the presence of the senior divisional officer for Manyu, De Joseph.
Potable water supply will be increased at the University of Yaoundé Tousoua thanks to the donation of a water point and borehole by a Turkish association called Akamas. Speaking during a recent inauguration ceremony, the speakers held relations between Cameroon and Turkey. Joyce Tata has more.
A new era for the more than 22,000 students at the University of Yaoundé Tousoua, which comes to reduce the expenditure and long walks many used to go through due to lack of potable water on campus. This thanks to the good ties between Cameroon and Turkey.
I think with this installation, there is more life here on campus because we had serious water crisis here for years. We thought it was really important to see into this situation, and so we thank the NGO, Akamas, for this donation freely offered to the school and implore the students to make good use of it.
A water point comprising of 15 taps alongside the borehole, such a relief to the students who quickly make a stop here after their study period.
It's a very nice project because actually we're in dry season. As you can see, there's a lot of dust and there's a lot of sun, there's heat. So having a water point like this is very beneficial for us. Like we can easily hydrate ourselves, and it's a good thing.
Many more donations are envisaged in the years ahead by the association, like the construction of university rooms for students at a cheaper cost.
A preparatory meeting ahead of the 11th Central Africa Cross-Border Fair to take place at Kiosi in Cameroon and Ebibian in Equatorial Guinea has taken place today in Yaoundé. The CEMAC Active Women Network REFAC will celebrate this edition under the theme concretizing the process for the integrated socio-economic development of Africa. The fair will run from June 24 to July 6, 2020, and today's preparatory meeting was chaired by BEFAC's Deputy Director of Regional and International Relations at Tangana, Jean Christian. A book titled The Fusion of the CEMAC Stock Exchange, Opportunities and Challenges has been presented in Yaoundé. Its author, Charles Etundi, a senior financial market specialist, says the basis for the development of every nation has to do with the financial market. Gerard Danji reports.
According to the author, his publication titled The Fusion of the CEMAC Stock Exchange, Opportunities and Challenges, seeks to exploit the means of operating a financial market within the Central African sub-region, with focus on Cameroon.
We all know that the financial market is the basis for the development of a sound economy in every country. And as we know, we have a lot of dormant capital in this country and in the CEMAC sub-region that needs to be generated and used for investment purposes.
However, such efforts are stifled by insecurity born out of poor economic situation.
We can directly link some of our security problems to our development potentials, are in a position where we can develop our sub-region and we make the economies very sound.
Even amidst the challenges lie some opportunities.
The stock exchange should be seen as the driving force behind our economy. They are able to educate our public, because one of the greatest problems we have with the development of our financial market, our stock exchange market, is the issue of information and the flow of this information to the market.
The 238-page book written in French is a masterpiece of this business lawyer, investment advisor, and specialist in monitoring risk assessment.
The head coach of Cameroon's Intermediate Lions, Yves Clement Aroga, has expressed concerns over his team's inability to score goals as expected. The complaint comes when football analysts are asking for talented footballers in the local championship to be given chances to defend national colours. Bordin Sama has more.
It remains a talking point among football analysts, the inability for Cameroon's Intermediate Lions to score many goals in a bid to convince Cameroonians that the best players of our local football championship were selected. With an average of 1 goal per match scored, Yves Clement Aroga admits he is yet to have his best team, especially a finisher.
I am in search of a good scorer who can change a match, but we are working on that already.
This finisher he is looking for is available in our local football championship.
We equally have Tongwa Amel Emmanuel of Yosa Young Sports Academy striker. He's the second best goal scorer of the league with 9 goals scored so far, but has never been called up at the level of the Intermediate Lions. Whereas Coach Clement Aroga says he's in search of that striker.
Football analysts believe the present team of players selected is good, but more talented players of our local football championship must be given a chance, given their impressive performances.
We can cite players like Alphonse Kevin Presa-Tiga, who is the co-best goal scorer of the league so far with Leon Boyomo at 10 goals. Hampo Manikre, the current captain of Colombe of Jean Lobo, who is already at 7 goals. He is the playmaker of Colombe of Jean Lobo. Jean-Emmanuel Chadum of UMS of Loom, who is one of the fastest wingers in terms of forwards we have in the league so far.
Their last training camp, built for Bafoussam from March 9 to 29, would certainly produce the best 23 players to honorably defend the nation's colours.
And that ends the 7:30 news on CRTV. Join Adel Mbala in exactly 30 minutes of the news in the French language. And tomorrow, you will be in the company of Gladys Tata at 7:30 and Karine Olivia Bates at 8:30. I am Moki Edwin Kinzeka in Yaoundé. Thank you for watching.